Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Now, Bajaj Finance, Reliance Industries, your outperformers, your wealth creators of this year have also started moving up. So Bajaj Finance is now higher by 1.25%. Reliance Industries is up nearly about 2%. But let's chat about Cholamandalam investment. That's near the day's low. In fact, it's down close to about 2%. It's reacted to some negative comments from the management's earnings conference call. Abhishek Kothari was tracking that very closely, now joins in with the detail. Abhishek, what exactly did the management say which spooked the street?
Well, Rima, to begin with, they have first mentioned that N. Srinivasan will step down for personal reasons. Margins, that is the net interest margins, have dipped meaningfully because of the growth in HCV. Now, this is a lower yielding product when you compare it to the UCV. So, UCV demand has come down and the HCV growth has led to lower yields. Typically, a difference between new CV financing and UCV financing is anywhere between 300 to 400 basis points. So, that is on the negative side. The incremental cost of funds is now at 9%. So what the management is saying that we are not able, that is the company is not able to raise funds through debenture route until and unless they pay a heavy price. The fund is not coming at a cheaper cost. On asset quality, they have said that they have acquired about 45 properties under SARFAESI Act worth about 70 to 75 crores. So overall 150 such customers for whom the company can go under SARFAESI. That is a key negative because the recovery over there is on the lower side. Under IND-AS impact, they have said that the profit on assignment loans have to be recognized upfront, and that was not there for FY18. That is why that is a drag. Another key highlight that they have mentioned is that the loan growth of 30% that they saw in Q1 will now come down to around 20% levels. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Abhishek. And that explains why the stock has come off the high point of the day. I think we should pull up the intraday chart. Now the stock is struggling from the peak. Keep an eye out. I think Royal Orchid as well came out with a good set of numbers. Margin expansion, we saw some growth as well. So that's pretty good news. And profitability on a very, very low base. It's close to have doubled out there. The stock has been running along. Top line growth of around 18%. A bit of a spike is what we're seeing on that stock. But let's go across to Ashwini Gujral. He's with us. Ashwini, what's the trade on the Nifty as of now? You told us that I think the day's low should be a stop loss if you have a long position. What's the trade now? Anything's changed?
See, the good news is that now the outperformers are also trying to participate. So that creates a nice rotation in the market. So if your corporate lenders are tired, now you have IndusInd Bank and Bajaj Finance, etc., which are pushing their weight. My sense is that given the results that are due post-market, I think the market should close out at the highs of the day. Right now, good time to get into Bank Nifty. For the moment, Motilal Oswal seems to have bottomed out. That is a buy with a stop of 900, target of 945. RIL is a buy with a stop of 1120, target of 1175. And Titan is a buy with a stop of 860, target of 915.
Okay, and Prakash, what are you recommending by way of trade, and what would be the time horizon?
I feel that the Nifty is up. Looks like it's a trend day today. It should close on its high or close to the high. I have two stocks here. I think ITC certainly is looking good to me. It's opening the gap up and it's maintaining its strength up here. It's a matter of time. ITC will climb to around 315 zones. Stop below 295 should be fine. It's beautiful. Second stock that I like is Federal Bank. Certainly is looking good to me. Federal Bank can climb to around targets of 95 to 97 zones. Stop below 18 and maybe a day or two move from here, today to Monday.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Prakash, as well as Ashwini for joining in and giving us those details. Keep an eye out a couple of these movers from the broader markets. Acrysil, that's not a stock we talk about very, very often, but the numbers were good. The volumes as well decent in today's trading session. It's known as Acrysil. They make basins. The numbers were quite good for this week itself. The stock is up nearly around 25%. So I think we should pull up that stock. We have NRB bearings as well. Remember, a couple of bearings companies have come out with a set of numbers. They look pretty decent. NRB bearings as well, moving higher. That stock, in fact, moved to the high point of the day. So a couple of these stocks. Crystal, pull up a week-to-date chart. You'll see that the numbers were good, in fact, and that's why week-to-date, it's up nearly around 25% for this week. And that's the other one, NRB bearings, moving quite well, Rima, as we speak.
All right, let's move on. Biocon has surged after posting a good set of earnings in Q1. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, the chairman and managing director of Biocon, joins us now. Ms. Shaw, afternoon, and thanks so much for joining in. Let's start with the launch of pegfilgrastim biosimilar in the US. When did Mylan launch, and how much are you expecting in terms of a market share and financials from this launch?
Well, as you know, pegfilgrastim was approved last month, and Mylan has very recently launched the product. I don't think I will be able to share with you other details on what is expected, what the plans are, what the strategy are. But as you know, Mylan has actually come up with an aggressive plan to market this product in the US as a biosimilar pegfilgrastim. And I think the questions pertaining to market share, etc., are better posed to Mylan than to us.
Well, ma'am, what's the guidance for the launch of biosimilar trastuzumab in the United States?
Well, as you know, the US approval has been obtained, and I think Mylan is in preparation to launch it when it is possible, because they have an agreement with Roche for the launching of this product in the US market and in Europe. Europe, as you know, we have recently received EU GMP for our facilities in Bangalore. The dossier is under review. Our MAA is under review by the European authorities, and we do expect a CHMP verdict on these two products, hopefully by the end of this calendar year.
Okay. Ma'am, you have guided for $200 million of sales from your biologic segment in FY19. If you could just tell us what this guidance consists of?
Well, largely this guidance is based on our confidence of being able to deliver on that number, now that pegfilgrastim has been approved, now that glargine also has been approved for the European markets, and of course we've seen a good uptick of our biosimilars in emerging markets. So collectively, I think this gives us a lot of confidence to know that we should be able to meet those numbers.
So can we expect the biologic segment to grow at a similar 30% run rate for the rest of this fiscal?
Well, that is the expectation, that is the aspiration, because we believe that you will start seeing a large profit share contribution also coming into play starting Q2. So all in all, I think we are fairly optimistic about the way the biologics business is going to play out for the rest of this fiscal and beyond.
Okay. Syngene recorded a good revenue growth, but margins came off. Can you provide an idea on the trajectory going forward?
Well, actually, I should put this margins question in proper perspective, because although at a top line they grew 39%, if you actually take off the one-off adjustments that were made for pass-throughs, which actually were dragged down the margins, they still showed a 25% growth. So I think the core business is strong. The margins, when you take out these sort of one-off adjustments, remain at the 33% levels. So I would like to put that into the correct perspective, because the perceived lower margins were actually because of these adjustments which were made towards one-off pass-throughs, which are also reflected in the inter-party numbers that are showing up even in Biocon.
Well, the margins have sustained between what, around 19 to around 21% odd. What's the margin guidance the company can provide, factoring in the possibility of higher R&D costs?
I don't want to comment on that because we do not give guidance, but what I can say is that R&D costs this quarter were down to 88 crores, which is not typical of what we are forecasting, because we do expect to catch up on R&D spends in the coming quarters, and we will be back to the kind of 450 to 500 crores by the end of this year.
In that context, would the margin range hold?
Well, this is going to get compensated because we are going to see a stronger margin contribution from biologics and our research services business.
Well, let's talk about insulin glargine then. What's the update for launch in the European Union, in Australia, as well as in the United States?
Well, we expect to enter into the European Union and Australia by the end of this calendar year. And I will not be able to actually comment on exactly what would be the, market share that we are targeting. But I think that question is better posed to Mylan.
Okay. Can you give us an update on the restructuring the company has undertaken and possible monetizing of your biologics business via listing or perhaps in any other form?
Well, there are many options for Biocon in terms of being able to monetize its biologics business, and we will be able to share more clearly the plan ahead once we have a lot of the understanding that we are addressing in a much clearer way. So I think right now there are a lot of formalities that are being gone through. There's a lot of restructuring that is being gone through. And once all that is done, I think we will be able to share the optics on the plan ahead, in the coming quarters.
Well, ma'am, final question before we let you go. Lupin has tied up with Mylan on a biosimilar. What is the read-through for Biocon on the same?
Well, as you know, Biocon has been developing a pipeline of biosimilars, and we have been focusing on certain biosimilars. Certain of our programs have not been at the same speed of other programs, and I think today there is a sense of urgency in terms of being early to the market. And when there are opportunities to get to the market early, obviously Mylan and Biocon between them believe that we should look at these opportunities. Lupin was one such opportunity, since they had actually progressed their Etanercept program much faster than ours, and we felt that this was an opportunity for us to actually access the market sooner than later. Similar was the case when it came to adalimumab. So I think these are commercial decisions that the two partners take based on the opportunity.
Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, thank you very much for your time this afternoon with CNBC TV18. That stock is a big mover today, a gain of 9%. Just before we get into a break, let's pull up the early rates from the European market. The expectation was it will be a pretty flat opening. Asia's had a mildly negative bias, particularly for the Chinese as well as the Hong Kong market. Europe, flat on the CAC, flat on the DAX, the FTSE, just a minor green tick going there. Get into a break, come back with more on the markets.
Well, plenty of numbers are expected today. Rima, tell us, what's the expectations on HCL Tech?
Well, we are working with a dollar revenue growth of 1.9%. In constant currency terms, it will be a growth of 3.5%. But this growth will be boosted by the acquisition C3I. So that could contribute about 150 to 180 basis points. Margins will be on a flatter side at 19.8%, a bit of a positive bias on the back of the rupee depreciation. PAT up by 3% quarter-on-quarter. Now, a couple of things to track. The infrastructure business, which was the growth driver, say, a couple of years ago, is now facing deflationary pressures. So that's about 38% of their overall revenues. To counter that, the company started expanding in underpenetrated markets like Canada, Germany. In fact, in Germany, the company announced an acquisition as well of H&D International Group. One, infrastructure services, the outlook over there. Secondly, whether they continue to hold on to their FY19 guidance or any change there. The company's guidance stands at 9.5% to 11.5% in constant currency, which includes an organic guidance of 4.25 to 6.25%. That had spoke the street because it's quite low. You know, they're talking about mid-single-digit numbers in terms of guidance. Also, their margin guidance was at 19.5 to 20.5%. Now that there is a rupee depreciation, if they increase it, then it will be seen as a positive. But you know, this time HCL Technologies revenues are likely to surpass that of Wipro's. So HCL Tech is now going to be India's third largest IT company. So in that sense, it's a bit of a milestone quarter for HCL Technology if going by these current numbers. So currently Wipro, as of the last quarter, in Q1 had revenues of $2,026 million. We're expecting $2,077 million. So definitely, you know, HCL should overtake Wipro.
Okay, all right. And remember, you can catch the management briefing on the quarterly performance this evening at 4:30 p.m. only here on CNBC TV18.
Welcome back. There is another big insurance IPO around the corner. We understand from sources that the IRDA has approved the IPO proposal of PNB MetLife. Yash Chen with the details. Yash?
Well, Rima, as you rightly pointed out, to be precise, the fourth life insurance company to get listed on the exchanges by the current calendar year end. And interestingly, fourth insurance company with a bank as its parent company. What we're given to understand is that the insurance regulator, IRDA, has given its approval as far as PNB MetLife IPO proposal is concerned. And the company is expected to file its DRHP with market regulator SEBI in the next 14 days, which is in the next 2 weeks. As far as the valuation of this particular IPO is concerned, sources tell us that the embedded value of PNB MetLife Insurance is somewhere around 2,100 crore to 2,500 crore. But the company is commanding a valuation through this IPO of about 10,000 crore, which will be approximately 4.5 times price to embedded value. As far as selling shareholders are concerned, we are given to understand that the parent bank, which is Punjab National Bank, is likely to dilute around 10% through this particular IPO. And other shareholders, as far as PNB MetLife is concerned, like Elpro International, Jammu and Kashmir Bank, as well as M. Palunji Group, are also expected to contribute as far as this public offer is concerned. Now, if you look at shareholders, particularly two shareholders, Punjab National Bank, of course, the bank is in requirement as far as capital is concerned. So this IPO will be useful from that particular perspective. But another company, which is Elpro International, there also for that company, this particular stake is quite valuable. The market cap of the company is about 900 crore and its stake in PNB MetLife is about 1,100 crore. So yes, from a value unlocking perspective, it's quite beneficial for the company. But again, one needs to understand going forward, how much does the company dilute, what amount of cash comes in into the company, and how do they use to deploy, how do they plan to deploy this particular cash?
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Yash. So we're looking at PNB, we're looking at the listing, and also we're keeping an eye out on Elpro, as you told us. Okay, all right. Well, on that note, we'll slip into a short break. You come back and we'll get straight to the commodity corner. Stay with us. Welcome back. Then let's get straight to our commodity corner. We have Himanshu Gupta of Karvi Stockbroking who joins us. Hi, Himanshu. I believe you have a strategy on gold as well as on crude. Fill us in with that.
Hi, good afternoon. We believe that gold prices are finding it difficult to sustain at higher levels, and ever since these trade tensions have been around us, gold prices have been shaking off it entirely. We believe that in the immediate short term, prices are vulnerable to below $1,200, and therefore we are recommending a short trade in the gold. The markets are expecting higher than expected second quarter GDP figures from US today. So in today's session, one can go short on MCX August month gold around 29,800 for the targets of 29,550 and a stop loss above 29,900. Talking about crude oil prices, we have seen some recovery in the crude oil prices on the back of some supply disruptions and inventory decline. However, having said, the structure remains still weak, and we see ample amount of supply hovering around $70.5, $71 for the international crude oil prices. So in crude oil, we will be looking to go short around 48.30 for the targets of 47.50 and a stop loss above 48.70 for intraday would be recommended.
Okay, and this buy call that you have on copper, is it just intraday or is it a more medium-term call?
Well, we have seen a decent amount of correction in broadly most of the metals on the back of trade war worries. and that has actually brought the prices to very long-term support levels. Specifically talking about copper, the prices are hovering near very strong support levels. We have a supply concerns going on the world's biggest mines in Chile, where this contract is about to be renewed and the negotiations have not been finalized yet. At the same time, amidst all these tensions, the copper market has actually slipped into a deficit. So not only from an intraday perspective, but from a very short-term perspective also, copper looks good to buy. 430, 425, 428 happens to be good short-term support. So I'll be looking to go long around current levels for an intraday target of 434 and an intraday stop loss below 422. However, from a positional perspective, one can place a stop loss below 415 on a closing basis.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Himanshu. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up on halftime report. The markets are at the high point of today. Business Lunch takes all the action forward.